Welcome back to the NBA playoffs at Staples Center, and everybody's on their feet right now, and with good reason. They started handing out the Sixth Man of the Year award back in 1983. No Laker has ever won it before. But Mitch Kupchak at center court, about to present it with a heart and soul guy for the Lakers ever since he came over in a deal with the Miami Heat. And let's go down courtside as Lamar Odom is about to be introduced.
2011 Kia Sixth Man of the Year to number 7, Lamar Odom.
Well deserved. Averaging 14 points, 9 boards on a career best 53% shooting. Now to business. And very, very dire straits kind of business for the Lakers. The starting 5, the same 5, fortunately for the Lakers. And also getting healthier with the reserves, something we'll talk about in just a little bit. But it's Pau Gasol, Ron Artest, Andrew Bynum, Kobe, and Fish in the backcourt. And Phil Jackson would like to see, in fact, he's kind of alluded to the fact he'd like to see Andrew Bynum have more than 7 shots. And that's what he had in the first game, as Andrew put together a complete effort, but he'd like to see them, maybe the mentality of just going down to the post a little bit more when he talked about that after the game. And for the Hornets, the shock factor on Sunday. Does it continue on Wednesday? Trevor Ariza won a ring with the Lakers, of course, in 2009. Carl Landry, Emeka Okafor, who wasn't a factor, played only 22 minutes because of foul trouble. Marco Bellinelli, and the guy that killed the Lakers, and he's killed a lot of teams, Chris Paul. Working for the youngest coach in the NBA, 39-year-old Monty Williams. And boy, has he changed their mentality, especially at the defensive end. The biggest improvement in the NBA this year, New Orleans, holding their opponents to 8 fewer points per contest this season. Downstairs we go now to Patrick O'Neal. Patrick.
Joel, thanks a lot. Well, good news for the Lakers. At least it's not a day game. There's been such a long time since Sunday and so much talk in the media about Kobe calling out Pau, the points in the paint in favor of New Orleans, and Chris Paul just running circles around the team, and one of the best games for a guard in playoff history. But a real glaring weakness for the Lakers was the bench play. And they were absolutely crushed by New Orleans, 39-21. The bench for New Orleans shot 73%. The return of Steve Blake will definitely help out, but he's still not 100% because of the chicken pox. His stamina will be an issue, but Lamar Odom must have a better game. 1 rebounded game 1. Even Magic Johnson, guys, said don't let the Hornets' second unit beat you. Joel and Stu, the bench needs to take pressure off the starters. It's a long road to another title. Back to you.
Well, they got Steve Blake available for tonight's game, and that's a nice addition, especially to help Fish in covering Chris Paul, a little fresher body.
I think the starters have to take pressure off the bench as well. I mean, if the starters go out and do their job and get the job done in that regard, I think some of the pressure goes off of the bench. But yes, the bench has to step up and play better, but as a complete team, they've got to play better.
The bench hit at an incredible percentage. That was one of the real stories, going 16 for 19 from the field. And now we get ready for game 2. San Antonio down a game at home. They're up by 5 and make it now a 3-point game with Memphis at 78-75 halfway through the final 12 minutes of regulation there. Hopefully it's not going to be that tense at Staples tonight, but anything can happen when you've got a world-class player, and that's exactly what they have in Chris Paul. Landry has been a great addition. What would they do without him after the injury to David West with the torn ACL? Something we'll be discussing. But there is the guy, the 25-year-old out of Wake Forest in his 6th season. And boy, did he look like he had no knee problems at all. And that's what they talked about over the last 2 seasons with Chris Paul.
Well, he's taken off all of the wrappings around his knees. He was wearing a brace throughout much of the year, but we see nothing on the knees tonight. He's feeling very, very good. And the staple of the NBA these days is high screen and roll. And, there are very, very few that can run high screen and roll as effectively as Chris Paul.
Emeka Okafor will jump center with Andrew Bynum. And as I mentioned, only 22 minutes for Okafor, so he's ready, he's fresh. And they also have Aaron Gray backing him up. And Aaron Gray coming off a career game. Bill Kennedy tossing, and it's controlled by Bynum. Bill Kennedy working with Steve Jaffe and Tony Brothers with 3 officials. It's good to have you with us on Fox Sports West. Lakers playoff basketball game number 2. Best of 7 set. The Lakers lost the first game of a series, just a 3-9 record. It'll be Artest. Got there, didn't get it, and off Gasol to Chris Paul.
Well, those are the kind of buckets that Ron has to complete. He had great position, just shot it up with the left hand a little short.
Trevor Ariza, dismal shooting game. Landry, he can hit that all day long, and he did it on Sunday. So Carl Landry out of Purdue, the acquisition, and a deal that helped both teams. Marcus Thornton going to Sacramento. It's going to be a hold on Oakland. So already a foul early. I mentioned he only had 4 points, 2 rebounds in 22 minutes of play.
Well, that was the deterring the movement of Powell that time before he gets called for his first foul. So Powell coming from weak to strong, and I like that better out of Powell. I like that out of both bigs. Not every time, but a lot of times you come from weak to strong and not give the defense time to settle in.
Artest, one of the keys in keeping the Lakers in the game in the fourth. It'll be Pau Gasol outside. Man, missed everything as it's picked up by Trevor Ariza. They shot 58%, don't forget, in the first half, 52% for the game. So the Lakers have to do a better job defensively.
Well, Powell got his first shot from about 12 feet. I'd like to see Powell on the box going 2 feet and further.
Kobe on the reach, Paul on the little floater, and a 4-0 lead as he got around Kobe.
And the problem with getting off to a slow start against this team is now, I mean, they won game one, obviously. They just still don't believe sincerely that they're going to win the series. But if you let them get a good start, then they're going to really believe.
There is no comparison in playoff experience between the two teams. Gasol trying to barge his way in and does exactly that. A little jump hook and a pretty one.
Well, that one was in the painted area, and that's where I'd like to see Powell operating the majority of the time. Second foul on Oakland.
Kobe picked off. That means Aaron Gray, I believe, is going to be coming in very quickly. Monty Williams hasn't made a move yet, but Aaron Gray. And when he went down at the tail end of the fourth on Sunday, it didn't look like he was going to be able to play.
Aaron is a big body, and he's a guy that doesn't really elevate a lot, so I can see how he can come back and play tonight. He's not a guy that runs through screens and runs in a straight line. I think he'll be okay.
He's a huge guy at 7 even, 275 pounds in his fourth year out of Pitt. He's got Pau Gasol now. That's his assignment. Carl Landry left behind him, so there's a huge advantage for the Lakers downstairs there. Fisher got the triple. Lakers by 1-5-4. Good ball movement and spacing.
The whole idea, though, of this game is going to be how they, as a team, handle the screen and roll with Chris Paul.
Bellinelli by Derek Fisher and gets the roll after he waited for Andrew Bynum to come down. So high percentage looks inside.
I wouldn't overplay Bellinelli. I'd play him belly to belly and make him beat me off the dribble more than giving him the first step.
Andrew Bynum got to the cup. Right by Aaron Gray.
That looked like a little bit of a travel, but the official was right there on the spot. Didn't make the call, so I guess it wasn't.
The Lakers looking for their first stop of the game. Chris Paul counts him, it goes. And instead, it'll be a foul on Kobe.
As much as you can, and it's easier said than done, you have to somehow build a wall with Chris Paul as we get another look with our slow-mo of Andrew Bynum. 1, 2, I guess in the NBA that's not traveling. Everybody makes that move.
Chris Paul ties it up. And we talked about what he did overall in the game, and it's the first time in 20 years that anybody has scored at least 33 with 14 assists. It was that good a day for him, but what he did late, 17 of his 33 came in the fourth. So he kind of carried his team. They had 36. It's a point away from 50% of their production. He accounted for 58% though with his assists and buckets. Andrew Bynum with the drop step. Jump hook was pretty good. Top break, Aaron Gray clears it away.
The other area, they got to make Chris Paul work on the defensive end. He's freelancing right now. He's trying to get into the painted area and just mess up things for everybody else.
The bounce for Gray, who goes to the deck to keep it alive. And does he get the timeout? Nope, jump ball.
Well, Chris Paul was screaming for a timeout. Any teammate can call the timeout. The official rule, though, I guess, he didn't have complete control of it, as Kobe was the overplay guy. And he's got the ball there. I'm surprised they didn't award the timeout to the Hornets.
8:36 to play in the opening 12.
And with the size differential, the Lakers have to make sure they treat this as a definitive defensive tip because Aaron Gray against Derek Fisher, no match.
Chris Paul is the lone guy back beyond Carl Landry. It'll be Gray. Can he control it? No. Gasol bats it around. Lakers ball. Crowd into it early. It's Artest with the mismatch and the layup. He got hooked up with Chris Paul.
Somehow Chris Paul ended up on Ron Artest, and that's not a good matchup for Chris.
Paul coming off the pick. Bellinelli looking for space. Now inside of 10 of the shot clock. Ariza doesn't get the roll, gets the board though. So he made his first in the Sunday opener, but then went 1 for 12 the rest of the way. This time he misses his first, but gets it right back.
But again, dribble penetration, whether it's Chris Paul on high screen and rolls or anybody else, the Lakers have to limit that.
Andrew Bynum got there. 1-point lead for the Lakers.
And you can see the Lakers are coming out making a concerted effort to get the ball into their two bigs.
It's taken away. Paul, and last touch by a Fish. As it looked like it may have gone off the foot of either Paul or Fisher. As Derek now the 19 on the shot clock, or will it be possession and a fresh 24? That's what they discuss right now.
Derek Fisher never did have possession of that basketball. They cannot reset the 24.
4 of 5 from the field for New Orleans. The Lakers 5 of 9. And now Bellinelli, a little 16-footer. Out on line, but back to Derek Fisher. Gasol average, don't forget, 22 points, 13 rebounds a game in the 4-game set on 70% shooting against New Orleans. So that's why it stuck out like a sore thumb what he did on Sunday. Andrew Bynum kept it alive, and a fresh shot clock for the Lakers.
This is the matchup where they have to go to work and not 10 feet from the hoop.
Fizz trying to get contact on Chris Paul. And look out, transition, floor space. Paul's got Ariza.
They had 2 guys in the same lane.
Landry came over. Ariza protected it, got it. And that wasn't an easy shot. Westchester High School, UCLA's Trevor Ariza. So Ariza's got 4.
So far in this game, the Lakers have had no answer for what hurt them in game 1. So in-game adjustments are going to be vital.
Gasol trying to come across. It'll be Bynum. He's got to go in a hurry. They let him go. 5 on the shot clock for Kobe and a walk. It'll go back to New Orleans. That is the first turnover. New Orleans already has 2, and they tied an NBA record with just 3 on Sunday. That is the definition of clean basketball.
I've said it many times, and I keep harping on Powell, but I'd like to see him catch the ball and make quick moves as well. He likes to catch it and just read, and that lets the defense settle in.
Now Gray. Bellinelli. His specialty is that corner 3. Break for the Lakers. Wasn't a bad look. Late challenge. So Bellinelli. Playoff debut. It's on Sunday.
And there's the catch, read. Defense is settling in.
Tough follow up. And it'll be picked up by Bellinelli as Gray accounted for Andrew Bynum. And that's what Gray gives them, just the bulk inside. Now up the pick, Paul. Tough. And he got it over Andrew Bynum. 14-11, an early 3-point lead because of 6 already for Chris Paul. He was an assist guy in the first half on Sunday and a score in the second half. Kobe and Artest thought about the 3. Time of the shot clock. Fisher on a roll and right to the cup. Blows the layup. It's out of bounds off Ariza. A break for the Lakers. That'll take us to a timeout.
Just like when Ron had a layup opportunity, but he was defended. This time, Derek comes off the screen. He's naked, but doesn't get the shot to fall. Fortunately, they get another possession. 5:19 to go in the first, and the Lakers down by 3.
Welcome back to Staples Center. I'm Chris McGee. The Lakers trailing the Hornets by a score of 14-11. Now, the Hornets expected point guard Chris Paul to have a successful game. Game 1, but where they were most pleased with the play of their bigs, especially Carl Landry and Aaron Gray, who was a surprise hero, scoring a season-high 12 points. I talked to the head coach, Monty Williams. The word he described to use their play was disruptive. He loved the way they made it difficult on the Lakers at both ends of the floor. They attacked them. They played physical. Joel, I talked to Carl Landry before the game. He said he expected Pau Gasol to play different. He said he reads the papers, he watches TV, he expects him to bring it tonight.
And Carl Landry has a pretty good feel for the Lakers. Don't forget he was with the Houston Rockets, Chris, when they extended the Lakers to a 7-game series 2 years ago. So they put it back into play. Fresh shot clock out of the timeout for the Lakers. Fish, pretty good look on an angle. Strong and Gray has the position. So a 3-point lead for the Hornets. 6 of 9. They've hit 2/3 of their shots compared to the Lakers, 36% so far. 5 of 14. Lamar Odom next whistle. He's checking in. Landry free. They fell asleep. Absolutely fell asleep. 16-11.
This is not the start, obviously, that the Lakers are looking for on either end of the floor. They've allowed the Hornets to really dictate tempo again on both ends. The Lakers in for a real dogfight in this ballgame.
Gasol dropping it for Andrew Bynum. Maybe he rushed it. Save. And who gets it? It's out of bounds. It'll belong to the Lakers. An opportunity once again in the offensive end. And Pau Gasol will sit down. He is 1 for 4 to start the game. And Lamar Odom checks in.
Let's see if Lamar can. The Lakers have to use a little bit more quickness against a team that is settling in defensively. Maybe Lamar can break him down off the dribble.
He led the bench with 10 points. Took only 6 shots. So Ariza got a piece of it. Kobe on his way down. Picked up by Bellinelli. So the shooting struggles continue. Ariza, no help. And a wise decision. Boy, look at the moves and the setup. It'll be knocked out of bounds. Landry wanted to reach. Instead, it'll be 12 on the shot clock. But how about the pass by Chris Paul?
Chris Paul is just a remarkable reader of every defense you throw at him. That's why, as a team, you have to continue to drop to the level of the ball because he's going to find the open man.
It'll be Bellinelli. Will they get the roll? No. But Landry, boy, lower body and a foul on the side of the head. Lower body of Carl Landry. He positioned it pretty well with Lamar.
As much as we talked about how effective and how good Chris Paul is, which he is, and how well he played in Game 1, that's to be expected to some degree. But the Lakers have to do a better job against the Carl Landrys and the Bellinellis and the Aaron Grays. Cannot allow them to have the type of games they've had thus far.
So Carl Landry in his 4th year out of Purdue, and don't forget, after his first season as a 2nd-round pick, he was a restricted free agent, and they matched the offer sheet, so he stayed in Houston. But the opportunity, there's a draft day deal that brought him over. He was a 2nd-round pick originally, the Sonics in 2007, 31st overall. Went to the Kings last season in that deal that sent Kevin Martin to Houston. And what a great trade on February 23rd to get him for Marcus Thornton with the loss of David West.
8 minutes into the game, the Lakers haven't attempted a free throw, which shows you that their inside play hasn't been where they want it, while the Hornets are a perfect 4 for 4.
Jared Jack has checked into the game, another guy who made his playoff debut on Sunday. Lamar's miss makes it 5 of 17, 29% for the Lakers. Now Ariza sees a crease, and it's Gray. He is now 6 of 6 in the series, and this is disbelief around Staples. 10-0 run for New Orleans and a 20-11 lead. So cold beginning, to say the least, for the Lakers. They go away from Kobe's side. Artest, who Phil Jackson thought was one of the bright spots on Sunday, and he comes through with a big triple.
Yeah, Ron's being defended by Jared Jack. Yeah, nice to knock down a 3, but that size advantage again is in the post area.
Ron Artest, 16 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 of his 16 came in the 4th on Sunday. Tough shot, Trevor Ariza. 22-14. Ariza's got 6 after going 2 for 13 in Game 1. Hot early tonight, and an 8-point advantage. Bynum on the read. And Andrew Bynum, good looking face-up game.
Well, a nice job of catching it and facing at the mid-post. And as soon as he faced, Aaron Gray had to give him some space, and that freed him up for the shot.
Drew's got 6. He is now 3 of 5 from the field. Chris Paul up against Artest this time. Still checking the shot clock. And a defensive three. And no, it'll be offensive on Gray. It'll go the other way.
Well, Aaron Gray had Derek Fisher, and somehow they had switched off, and he felt that he should get the ball, and he stayed in the paint and got caught. 2:30 to go in the first quarter, and the Lakers fighting from behind as Artest knocks down a three. But the Hornets have the answer.
Laker Legends, presented by Farmer John. Rod Hundley called Hot Rod back in West Virginia for his daring on and off the court. A #1 draft pick in 1957 who played for the Minneapolis, then LA Lakers.
LA all the way. I was so excited to get there. I was the first Laker getting in the car and I'm going. I'm going to LA.
A Houdini of the hardwood, bad knees and fast living forced early retirement at the age of 28. We had a treat for all of us last year when Hot Rod Hundley joined us for a few telecasts. And our best Hot Rod down in Phoenix. 6-point game, 22-16. Hornets, hot start. And offensively, high percentage. Laker fans, go to Lakers.com. Virtual tour of the all-new Toyota 4Runner with the Laker girls. Enter for your chance as well to win an autographed team basketball. All you have to do is click on the Toyota banner. Lakers.com. Enter to win today. It's courtesy of Toyota. Suiting up with the Lakers for over 34 years. Nice to see execution out of the timeout. Lamar Odom on the assist from Kobe.
Very nice execution out of that timeout, and hopefully that'll jumpstart the Lakers offensively. They need to get jump-started here defensively.
Headband and all, Steve Blake, good to see him out on the floor. Out of the chicken pox. He was horizontally set for at least 7 days. Landry now 5 with a shot clock for Chris Paul. Trying to get by Blake, little space. And good stop, good sequence for the Lakers. Blake all over him. Powell back into the game, hits the deck. So a 4-point deficit. Lakers with 4 straight points.
Lakers down by 4, and Kobe looking to scratch for the first time.
Blake on the run out. Still 10 of the shot clock. Final minute 35. Lamar got there.
Nice quick first step. He didn't allow Landry to settle in defensively. That's why you mix it up offensively. Sometimes you go and you read, sometimes you make the quick move. Keep the defense off balance.
It's a 9-2 run for the Lakers. 4 off the bench in his first 3 minutes on the floor for the 6th man of the year, Lamar Odom. Paul, or make it Jared Jack rather, he looked for a swing through. Instead, Aaron Gray never touched the rim. It'll be picked up by Blake after the wild shot by Landry on the run. Shannon Brown and Jared Jack in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
Well, Lakers defensively were really aggressive on that last possession to the point where I thought there were a couple of fouls that weren't called. Maybe that's what they need to do, be that aggressive until the whistle sounds and they can back off a bit.
Jason Smith along with Willie Green into the game. Joining Jared Jack as Landry sits down, and so does Trevor Ariza. So Gray and Smith, their size on the baseline. And then 3 guards out there. Willie Green, Jared Jack, and Chris Paul. Plenty of time of the shot clock. Kobe backing down on the step through over Green. And Aaron Gray is going to be called on the foul. So obviously after he got the block, he got the body coming down and through the arm.
And Aaron Gray never did leave his feet on that play, just as a secondary defender. Just reaches up and gets the arm initially. Got a lot of basketball, but got a lot of that right arm, or that left arm.
Yeah.
And so that sends Kobe to the line, see if he can get into the scoring call.
The Lakers will take it. First free throws of the night for the Lakers. New Orleans already 4 of 4 at the stripe. Both teams took exactly 33 free throws in Sunday's contest. So Kobe, 4th most in NBA history. Michael Jordan atop the list. Then it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Shaquille O'Neal as Kobe gets his first point of the game. And it's a 1-point contest now as the Lakers continue their roll on the 10-2 spurt. Willie Green, he's in trouble, and he'll get a 20. So he hits the deck, but the Lakers defense has definitely picked up over the last 3.
And they need to pick up over the next part of this ball game in order to win. About 44 seconds left here in this first quarter. Lakers trailing the Hornets by 1. Their defense, well, it's picking up a little bit. It's going to have to pick up a lot, as Kobe is demonstrating on Holy Green as he slips. Kobe's there to force him to call the quick timeout. Still 12 seconds on the shot clock. A lifetime with Chris Paul in the game.
It's over in San Antonio as Kobe sits down for the first time. San Antonio 89-87 with 14 seconds left. They got fouled, went to the free throw line, fouled again. They win it by 6, but talk about a close one. 93-87. San Antonio evens their best of 7 with Memphis in a game apiece. Matt Barnes out there for the first time. Now Green with shot clock issues. It's got to go up. Will he get it off in time? And he got hit on the head. So on the side of the head, Willie Green's going to the free throw line.
Just a lot of dribbling that time. I thought they would do a better job of making him go east and west. He finally broke down Matt Barnes, and then as Matt was recovering, he hits him right on the head with the right arm. No question about the foul, sending Green to shoot 2.
Willie Green had 8 points off the bench. Key to their 39-21 advantage. When you talk about the reserves and the way things matched up. He hit runners. Jared Jack hit runners. And he's always been a physical guard out of Detroit Mercy, the old University of Detroit Titans. A brick on the second. Lakers only down by 2 after trailing early by 9. So 23-21. And now Pau Gasol, the only starter on the floor for the Lakers. Lamar wanted to go inside. Good luck. It's all even at 23 thanks to that guy. 6 big ones off the bench on 3 of 4 for Lamar Odom.
You need this final stop here to go out of the quarter with a little mo, even though they're still giving up 56% shooting to the Hornets.
Now final shot, Chris Paul. No, it'll be Willie Green. Will he get it off in time? No. So the Lakers feel pretty good about themselves now. Got it together defensively. Go to the break, all even.
So it becomes a 36-minute game. We start from scratch. Nothing as we're tied at 23. All the momentum, though, still basically with the Hornets. They're playing with house money, and they're playing a real nice job of it. It's up to Lakers to change the course of things. Heading into the second quarter, all tied at 23. And that man, Chris Paul, game 1. What a game he enjoyed. I know we've talked about it many times, but the game was so good, it deserves to be repeated time and time again, as he just completely dissected the Lakers with his ability to penetrate and score or penetrate and dish. Just was amazing. One of only 4 players in NBA history to have 33, 14, and 7 in the playoffs.
He's been first team All-NBA, second team All-NBA, and then the ankle and the knee injury. It's going to be 3 in the key once again. Aaron Gray called for the second time.
And I know if I'm Monty Williams, I'm probably saying, okay, just call it the other way as well, because there's no question that Aaron was in there for more than a lot of time.
Well, the Lakers have 7 points off the first 3 turnovers for the Hornets. They only had 3 in 48 minutes in the opener, tying NBA playoff low. They've only got 4 tonight, and can the Lakers capitalize and take the lead? It'll be Steve Blake. Thought he'd take it in the angle. Instead, Barnes, high percentage. It's a lead at 25-23.
Giving the Hornets what they've been giving the Lakers, a little dribble penetration and then a little floater in the key.
Points in the paint even now at 14 apiece. Gray's there. Plays the easy one. Doesn't get the follow. Stays with it, though. And last touch, they say by Gray, although it looked like Matt Barnes got it last.
It's definitely going to be Hornets basketball.
Yeah, Steve Javy pointed Lakers ball. Tony Brothers close to it, and it will belong to the Hornets.
As it's going out, you can see Matt right there touches it. There's no question. Good recovery by the officials.
And what a recovery by Aaron Gray to be on the floor after the pain we saw him in. And he said that ankle looked like a softball was on the side of it. Training staff of the Hornets obviously doing an exceptional job with treatment and the extra day. Instead of a Sunday, Tuesday, Sunday, Wednesday definitely helped. Opening 90 seconds. It was going into the corner for Bellinelli. Gray hit it though. And now Blake on the run. By the trailer and the layup. 27-23, points off another mistake. That's 11-0 in points off turnovers.
Well, Steve Blake got away with a mistake as he's dribbling. He picks up his dribble about 5 feet from the hoop. You got to attack or make the pass in a hurry.
The Lakers now 4-point lead. That is their biggest in this series. Jarrett Jack right back at it. It was a nice acquisition for them, and everybody wondered how he was going to get along with Chris Paul because Jarrett Jack has been a starter in the past. Well, they're old buddies. They played on the same AAU team. They are the best of friends. So they support each other, motivate each other. It's worked out well. Now Powell defended well and picked up on the turnover. Jarrett Jack up against Shannon Brown. He protected it, but it was a wild-looking shot now taken away by Willie Green. A break. See Blake the other way. Floor is spaced. Matt Barnes. And protected it, didn't he? 29-25. More points in transition for the Lakers. Not exactly a fast break team.
Well, Lakers dodged one there. Lamar's pass was errant. They couldn't score on it, and Lakers get it back and score themselves.
Barnes took it away.
Didn't throw it away.
Yeah. Mid-range, Willie Green points off the turnover.
That's on Steve Blake there. He picks up the loose ball and then as the point guard tries to make a real quick pass. That's what you normally see centers do, want to get rid of it. Steve should have taken it himself.
Aaron Gray will sit down next time out or next whistle. Blake, good look. Off the front of the rim, picked up by Jason Smith. I mentioned that because Landry, Okafor, and it's thrown away by Jarrett Jack and Ariza on the next whistle, checking in for New Orleans. That's a save by Willie Green. Otherwise, an easy one for Pau Gasol.
Maybe that pass should have been just a bit higher as Pau had a small one on him. The ball was down low and allowed the smaller player to get a hand on it.
Lakers up to 46% shooting. Remember, with about 3 minutes left in the first 12, they were at 29%, so way up. And they've also got the Hornets down to 50%. Now Shannon Brown off the pick.
Way off.
Yeah, he went real early too. 17 on the shot clock. So before Bellinelli could get there, he wanted it. 3 minutes gone in the second quarter. Carl Landry, physical guy, up against Lamar Odom. Now shot clock issues.
Well, Jarrett Jack is the Laker killer.
Looked pretty good there, didn't he? Inside the arc. It's tied at 29. Jarrett Jack coming off a very efficient game, 15 points in his first career playoff game on Sunday. Not overwhelmed, obviously, by the experience. He's got 2 quick buckets tonight. Almost taken away by the length of Trevor Ariza.
Trevor has always been a good guy to dive into a passing lane. What a horrible pass.
Yep, and got a piece of it. Won't be a clear path because Lamar was even with Carl Landry, and that's why Monty Williams is up. Although they will discuss it as we go to a timeout.
Well, turnover hurting the Lakers now. That's their 4th, even though they've only given up 2 points on it. They've got to do more of that, attacking the paint, putting the pressure on the Hornets.
.13 left in the second quarter. Hornets and Lakers tied up 29 apiece. Patrick O'Neal here courtside. I spoke with Brian Shaw before the game. He told me the Lakers were punched in the mouth in game 1 and did not fight back, but they were down 9 in the first quarter tonight, and they've responded nicely. Brian told me the key, get back in transition, get set, then that pick and roll won't affect you as much. You see Steve Blake right there, really impressed with his efforts so far tonight. He was in bed for 6 days because of the chicken pox, very weak, couldn't see his kids. You see him wearing that headband for the first time ever in his NBA career. He said, yeah, he's worn a headband before, but he's fidgeting with it a little bit. But with 5 assists in 6 minutes of play, I think he should keep it. Guys, one thing I mentioned earlier, fatigue, game shape will be an issue. He said if he gets tired, he'll let Phil know, he'll raise his hand, and he'll come out. Back to you.
And also good to see Lamar Odom active, involved offensively. He's got 8. He's played well at the defensive end of the floor, and that's 12 for the reserves to go along with 6 assists, 5 belonging to Steve Blake, compared to the 9 points for the reserves of the Hornets. Now, New Orleans with the ball tied at 29. Bellinelli on a scoop. Man, batted out by Okafor, but right to the Lakers on the run. Barnes, perfect timing. Shannon Brown on the alley-oop kind of lob.
Previous possession, Shannon threw a pretty bad pass. On this possession, throws a pretty good pass. So nice job in transition by Shannon Brown.
That's 6 points for Matt Barnes. Ariza, quick catch and shoot. And Barnes make it Brown. Took it away from Andrew Bynum. So 48% shooting to 47% for the Lakers. Hornets have cooled off considerably. Overdue for that. Andrew Bynum all locked up. Okafor created the jump ball. And Okafor could not afford a third foul.
That time Andrew never did get his feet set. He was out of control a little bit, and as he made his move coming back, easy tie-up for Emeka Okafor. I talked about the good pass that Shannon Brown made, and that was it. So that all Matt Barnes had to do was catch it, lay it in with the left.
Okafor jumps with Bynum. 12 on the shot clock with the Lakers if they keep possession. And 7:25 remaining in the half. Andrew Bynum controls it. Lamar Odom's got it.
He's being guarded by Chris Paul. Watch the offensive foul there.
And it'll be there. Chris Paul had position. Lamar bowled him over. Lamar comes up a little bit gimpy, like maybe he banged his knee.
When you have a smaller player like that, what happens a lot of times is you get a little anxious. What you should do is just try to pass to a teammate, get back down to the low box so you don't have to dribble as much and then go to work.
Second foul on Lamar Odom. 5th turnover on the Lakers. And Carl Landry makes him pay. It's tied at 31. Carl Landry, 8 points as he leads the Hornets in scoring. They've got 6 and 4 assists for Chris Paul, who just came back on the floor for Marco Bellinelli. So small lineup, Jared Jack, 2 real lead guards out there, although Jack hit the long ball. Lamar almost got the long ball.
Lamar misses his second shot. He's 4 out of 6. That one was, he got tapped on that one.
Now Chris Paul with Okafor early in the shot clock. And he had to bank it. Andrew Bynum made him force it to that kind of shot.
See, Okafor that time, he didn't read the defense. He had his mind made up. He had predetermined what he wanted to do.
Andrew Bynum on a clear out. Okafor and Andrew on the run. So Andrew Bynum imposing his presence in the middle of things with 8 points.
They were late in any kind of support that time and allowed Andrew to work a little bit of one-on-one.
Carl Landry again, too strong. And it's picked up by Andrew Bynum. Saved by Blake. Second rebound for Andrew Bynum. Lakers outboarded right now. 15-13 as Jared Jack hit the deck. Andrew Bynum missed time to the jump, but going to the line, looking for a three-point play. Wow. So it wasn't a picture-perfect one, but the Lakers will take it.
It helps to be 7 foot plus because he is so long. Even though his jump, his timing was bad on the initial reception, he was able to gather it in, not only gather it in, but then score and get fouled. He'll be going to the line to see if he can complete the three-point play when we come back.
Four-point lead for the Lakers can be 5 out of the break as Andrew Bynum, already in double figures, headed to the free throw line, trying to convert a three-point play. And our FoxSportsWest.com/Lakers poll question tonight: how is the series going to go? There are your choices. You cast the vote. FoxSportsWest.com/Lakers. And you can get fouled.
Well, Andrew Bynum off to a pretty good start. He's made 5 out of his 7 field goal attempts. He's the game's leading scorer with 10. As he's going to the line after the last basket to try to complete the three-point play. And that's where the Lakers should have the advantage. I talked about both Andrew and Powell. Well, Andrew's making his presence felt on the interior. Now it's Powell's turn to do the same as Powell and all the starters re-enter the game.
Points in the paint on Sunday, 52-34 in favor, surprisingly, of New Orleans. That one-sided. It's kept alive after the miss, but picked up by Jared Jack. So far tonight, it is 24-18, a +6 when it comes to points in the paint. And they've got the last 6 in that category. So Jared Jack, Chris Paul, Carl Landry, Trevor Ariza, Aaron Gray out there for the Hornets. Now Landry up against much taller Andrew Bynum. Got the shot clock down.
I think Fish got him.
On a reach, he's going to the free throw line. So Carl Landry continues to be a big factor for this team, and especially in the absence of David West, who tore his ACL.
Free throws they're giving, as the Lakers are saying he was not in the act of shooting, but the official has already ruled that he was, so it's going to be an argument the Lakers are going to lose.
foul on Derek Fisher's, his first. Only Laker with 2 fouls is Lamar Odom. 5 of 6 at the free throw line. Willie Green's got their only miss. Carl Landry has 2 makes there. 8 points, 2 rebounds. Give him 9 now. So he's a value guy. 2nd round pick, as we mentioned. Milwaukee native, 27 years of age. And they would be lost without him. Emeka Okafor once again not a factor. Just picked up his 3rd foul. Had to sit down. So Okafor goes over to the bench. He's only played 6 minutes tonight. And if they didn't have Aaron Gray after the ankle injury, boy, they would be in deep. Landry comes through with the stripe. It's a 2-point game once again, 35-33. Kobe back on the floor. So Kobe and Fisher in the backcourt. Andrew Bynum, Pau Gasol, Ron starting 5 on the floor for the Lakers. Kobe only 1 point so far. Now 10 on the shot clock. Andrew Bynum saw the face-up game already. He'll do it again. Same result. He was hot in warm-ups about 90 minutes before the game, shooting with Craig Hodges and Brian Shaw the same way.
Using his jab fake there to get some space for that shot. Nice job by Andrew.
12 points in 13 minutes on 6 of 8 from the field. Carl Landry coming up short and knocked out of bounds. It looked like Kobe touched it last, and it will belong. Aaron Gray went after it. Kobe tried to get it away.
Aaron Gray is doing a good job of moving his feet despite having that ankle sprain at the end of game 1. He tried to track that rebound down, and that stopped Kobe from getting a clean hand on it.
He's got 5 of their 16 boards already. So that shot clock thanks to the work. And a second chance opportunity. Carl Landry off his shin after he lost Pau Gasol on the crossover. Now will it be points off a turnover? Kobe's got the mismatch. They'll get the ball out of his hands though. Andrew thought about it after making those face-up shots.
He heard Phil Jackson Hall move it.
What a pass. Kobe with Gasol going to the line. No look. A little behind the back wraparound.
That's what happens when you catch the ball and keep your head up without committing your dribble. I mean, Kobe catches it, and he's in a read mode, reading right now. He sees Powell cutting baseline. A little behind the back pass, the head fake by Powell, and free throws coming. The Lakers only 1 out of 3 from that position, while the Hornets are 7 out of 8.
They have been sharing the basketball, though. The Lakers with 15 assists on 17 makes. An incredible ratio right now. Hopefully that'll continue as they're finding each other. It's a 5-point lead. Biggest so far for the Lakers after trailing early in this game by 9 in the first 7-8 minutes of the contest. And Pau Gasol gets 2 at the stripe. He's up to 4.
Well, he's still struggling from the field, though. Only 1 out of 5 from the field. He's got to make his presence felt in the paint.
So the smaller New Orleans Hornets trailing by 6. Let's see if the Lakers can keep the space, the separation. And how do they close the final 4 minutes of the half? Landry picking him off. Gray underneath. Finding some space, blowing the layup. Yeah, he cleared out. They bounced into Gasol first and then cleared out.
Because he doesn't really jump to begin with, then you add the ankle problem in. He's not getting off the floor that high, so he used his off arm to keep the defender out of the play and got caught.
Kobe coming off the rub on the switch has Jarrett Jack. Trying to get Pau involved on the read on the run. It'll be Gasol. Nice pass by Pau Gasol once again. 16 assists on 18 makes.
Nice dive by Ron Artest from the weak side. Nice cut.
Chris Paul leaves him. Can't get it. Gasol defended it well. He was the last one in front of the rim, and he forced the miss. It'll be Fish. Gets the roll. 10-point Laker lead.
Well, with that, the Hornets look like they're getting ready to take a timeout, try to stop a little bit of this momentum as the Lakers have built their biggest lead of the ball game on an 8-0 run. Now let's just hope this timeout doesn't put the Lakers back on their heels where they're not playing with a real sense of urgency.
The Lakers get criticized sometimes if they stand around and the ball's stagnant, but today, ball movement, it's really helping the balance of this team.
Absolutely helping the balance of this team. They've got 19 baskets so far and 16 assists on the 19 basket, so that is sharing the basketball. But movement without the ball is critical, and the Lakers, especially in the last 10 minutes or so, done an excellent job of that.
Former Laker DJ Benga has checked into the game. So he's out there with Ariza. Bellinelli is back in, Landry and Chris Paul. And they're hurting offensively. Give the Lakers credit defensively. Landry off the mark because of Andrew Bynum, who also cleaned it up.
Good defensive possession by the Lakers.
Extra pass. Gasol wanted Bynum. It's taken away. He thought he was hit, and it looked like he was across the arm, but it'll go the other way. An easy takeaway. Cross-court bad pass by Bellinelli.
Well, Andrew Bynum's going to tell the coaches, I hustled back on that one, didn't I? Don't say nothing about me getting back defensively.
Lakers are ready, 15-4. In points off turnovers. Chance for more here. Inside of 10 of the shot clock.
The impressive thing is the Lakers are doing this with Kobe only with 1 point.
Swings through, gets Gasol going. He tried to get contact. 10-0 run by the Lakers as they're up by 12. So points off turnovers. Assist that we talked about earlier. Playing clean basketball with only 6 turnovers of their own.
See how they finished the final 2 minutes of this half.
Chris Paul all tangled up with Kobe. Lakers bang heads. Landry again. Blocked away the reverse run. Artest.
Nice secondary defender that time as Landry tried to use the basket as an ally, and he went to the other side, but there was Artest and made the block. Nice play.
Now a short shot clock, only 5 when they bring it in. Bellinelli, Bynum came out. Bellinelli still got it. So Bellinelli with his second on a 6th try. And it stops a 10-0 run for the Lakers. Still a 10-point lead, 95 seconds left in the half. Boy, what the Lakers have done defensively, though. Talk about that next whistle. And that has been the key to the second 12-minute session for the Lakers. Final 7 of the shot clock. Kobe's got a pass. He's got a layup. Nobody came over after Ariza was beaten out top.
Boy, his second shot of the ball game. He goes to 3 points in the scoring column, and the Lakers go back up by 12. Kobe's got to get out of this half, though, without picking up that second foul. He can be a lot more aggressive for 5 to use.
Chris Paul on the move. Now on the switch. Up against Andrew Bynum. Ooh, he gave it up. Ariza, a challenge point. Still got it. Fish flashed out. 47-38. So after shooting 56% in the first 12 minutes of play, now New Orleans at 44%. That's the first 3 of the game. Kobe again with a good pass. Man, a good stop by Landry as he kept it away. So 2-for-1 opportunity, and that's what Chris Paul just saw as he looked up at the clock at that opposite end. Nifty move. And almost gave it away. Bellinelli blocked. Good run out by Artest. Final shot as the Lakers should milk it. They don't need to, though, as Bynum is fouled and shoots 2. So Landry got back late and made sure he wasn't going to get a good look.
And Andrew really didn't have his balance, and that's why he ended up falling so violently out of bounds. It wasn't a little bit of help from Landry, but no flagrant foul whatsoever on that play. Just a good foul by Carl Landry, and they're saying Andrew was not in the act of shooting. So Andrew, he's in disbelief. But once they make the call, Andrew, it's all over but the shouting.
Andrew Bynum sits down with 12 points, 4 boards, and the Lakers with about 2 seconds the difference right now between the shot clock and the game clock. Morrow to back out there. Lamar's got to worry. He's got 2 fouls, so the last thing he needs is pick one up, especially on a charge. Kobe again got the beat on Ariza. Loose ball, and it's saved, but off. They say the Lakers, or say the Chris Paul and the Hornets, it'll belong to the Lakers. 3.9 to play. Disbelief for Chris Paul.
Disbelief for Kobe. Kobe thought on that move to the basket he would get the whistle, but didn't get anything. And Lakers fortunate to get it back. Very fortunate to get it back.
And then it did go off the shin, as you can see, of Pau Gasol. So let's see if it stands that way. No, they turned it around. Got to get back, and Andrew Bynum wants to get back into the game defensively. That's a good move by Phil Jackson on the final shot. Jarrett Jack, Willie Green also checking in for Monty Williams in a 9-point affair. So one more stop needed for the Lakers in a solid first half.
And what you have to do now is make sure you don't foul Chris Paul in midcourt, because with only 3.9, they're going to be running up the floor. You want to make them come back to their defensive end to receive the pass, then have to change direction to go the other way. Lakers don't know who's on the floor right now.
Bynum, after they told him to get in, now he sits down again.
Well, that's what the officials are disputing right now, whether he has to, in fact, stay in the game.
So matchups are the key consideration. And now we'll go over and talk it over with Bill Kennedy, the third official, Steve Javi, Tony Brothers, 3 veterans. And I like the way they did confer both times to get it right when it was on the baseline at each end. They got the call right. And the ball went out of bounds. Now let's see about the substitution.
And if they make Andrew come back in, it depends on who he comes in for. It'd be great if he could come in for the guy guarding a man out of bounds, and that's Powell, because the Hornets have 5 guards on the floor. You don't want Andrew to have to chase one of those smaller, quicker guys.
Hornets down to 43% after that red-hot start up with the first 12 minutes of play. The Lakers at 52%.
And if you put Andrew on the guy out of bounds, they're going to probably try to inbound it and get it right back to him so that his foot speed will be able to beat Andrew down the floor. So your team defense has to really come into play again.
You didn't hear Spurs beat the Grizzlies 93-87. That is all tied up at a game apiece. It seems like things are, even though it was tight with Boston and New York, and I never saw an NBA team make a mistake like New York did at the end of last night's game. Things are more according to form over in the Eastern Conference than in the Western Conference. But boy, has it been great watching playoff basketball, at least 2-3 games every night. What a treat. Now, will they get it straightened out? They're talking to the official scorer about the guys that were checking in to get it straight.
I think they're trying to determine who Andrew came in for the first time, so that they can bring that player or Andrew back in.
Well, Monty Williams has drawn something up for his team, but all the Lakers are around there too. The youngest coach in the NBA, and what a year they have had, and the improvement that they have had this year. After, don't forget, last year they were 37-45. They're 46-36 this year during the regular season. And I talked about everything according to form. Well, Oklahoma City found some separation with Denver after they got a break on Kendrick Perkins' putback that shouldn't have counted for the lead late in that game with a minute to play in game 1. They won it decisively tonight in game 2 at home. Dallas and Portland, those have been tough battles. Portland had a legitimate gripe in game 1, but Dallas then peeled away late in game 2. Now they head to the Rose Garden, where it's always difficult.
They determined that Powell had to go out. Andrew came back in, so Willie Green is vital, and they don't use him at all.
Now Chris Paul, final shot. It'll be a 3. Too good a look. Way too good a look. Nobody out there to challenge him. So the Hornets, after trailing by double figures up to 12 for the Laker lead, it's cut in half at the break and goes down to 6.
That wasn't good defense at all. I mean, they kept retreating, and all Chris Paul had to do was dribble to the 3-point line, stop, and fire. And he gets rid of it with plenty of time to spare on the clock, and the results, a triple.
So their catalyst and their star from game 1, Chris Paul, gets the triple, has 9 points and 5 assists at the half. But more importantly, the Lakers still have the lead and have moved the ball and shared it well with 16 assists on 21 makes. So 47-41 at the break as we head out to Bill McDonald, Norm Nixon, Jack in the Box halftime report. Guys. Halftime continues in Southern California as the Lakers try to get even in their best-of-7 series with the Hornets, and a different story so far over the first 24 minutes of play. Welcome back once again, Joel Myers alongside Stu Lenz. Lakers played catch-up just about every step of the way in game 1. Well, they're up by 6 at the break. In points of the paint, domination for New Orleans in game 1. Not a similar story, fortunately, for the Lakers so far tonight.
And the Lakers have to do that same thing in the second half. Really try to kill them on the inside, because you kill the belly, the head will soon follow. And that's where the Lakers have had some success here in the first half. And that's one guy that they've got to get going even more in the second half, and that's Powell control. Kobe doing his job as far as getting dribble penetration, but Andrew Bynum, key again in the first half. Got to come out with that same aggression in the second, because the Hornets are not going to go away easily, because they've got 2 guys that have hurt the Lakers. Carl Landry and Trevor Ariza, but we all know about number 3, Chris Paul. He's the guy that makes it happen, and that three-pointer at the halftime horn really got a little bit of momentum back for the Hornets. The Lakers have to continue with that aggressive defense, not give up anything easy, and they'll have a much easier second half. Now let's go down courtside to Patrick O'Neal. Patrick?
All right, Stu, thanks very much. Just talked with Jim Clemens. And overall, Lakers happy with the defense. Other than those 2 threes that they gave up, they feel they should have a 12-point lead right now. So these guys have a memory that doesn't really go away. So that's the big difference. They don't want to back off at all. As far as Kobe being more aggressive, they expect him to kind of take over here in the second half. Let's go over to Chris McGee for a report on the Hornets.
Thanks, Patrick. Talked to Monty Williams, the head coach. He said 9 turnovers as opposed to 3 in game 1. He credited the Lakers D. He said they've really picked up their pressure. For Okafor, he says he has to stay in the game. If he's going to foul, he's got to make it count. And offensively, Joel, he said bottom line, need to execute better.
All right, thank you, Chris. Knocked out of bounds, still belonging to New Orleans to start the second half. 12 left of the shot clock. So we'll see if they listen to Monty Williams, clean things up when it comes to turnovers. And let's see what Chris Paul does, because he was a distributor. He had 10 of his 14 assists from the first half of game 1, and then he picked it up. He looked for a shot in the second half of game 1. Is that going to be the case? Landry loses it, turnover right away. It'll be Artest on the run. Man, defended, but right back at it. He can't get it. The third time is definitely the charm for Ron Artest.
Yes, he's padding his offensive rebounds because he misses the first, this is the second, but taps in the next one.
An 8-point Laker lead. Now points are 19-4, plus 15 for the Lakers in points off turnovers. Quick hands. Artest tried to take it away there. Now the Lakers, in looking down the road, the Lakers have taken 7 of their last 10 here at Staples Center, but they have been incredibly successful in New Orleans. Since the Hornets moved from Charlotte to the arena in New Orleans, the Lakers are 9-3 on the home floor of the Hornets.
You see, coming out of intermission, they're trying to run through Carl Landry.
Got to go up. Chris Paul, and he got a walkout by Kobe. He leaped into Kobe, but normally you're going to see the offensive guy get the benefit of the doubt.
Wow.
So a tough break for the Lakers. No time on the shot clock.
Well, they're going to review it to see if there was any time on the shot clock as he fakes. Kobe's momentum carries him into Chris Paul, and the ever-present mind of Chris Paul. As soon as he got any kind of contact, he was throwing it up. Yeah. So he's looking to see. That's definitely off. I thought it was off in time as far as the shot clock was concerned. So if, in fact, it was, there'll be 3 free throws coming to Chris Paul.
Neither team took a lot of free throws in the first half, which was a nice break. Yeah, it looked like it was out. Just barely out.
Kobe trying to hide
in that That's jersey. A good reaction shot. Couldn't believe it either. So often now, though, advantage to the offensive player, and not as demonstrative as that. Advantage when they invade the space of the defender on the attack closer to the basket. But on a walkout like Kobe was walking out on Chris Paul, you could see Paul invade and try to get into his space a little bit, but Kobe, 2 teammates before, don't forget, they have played together, whether it's the All-Star game or internationally.
I think Kobe's momentum was going forward, though, that time. I mean, he was definitely the guy that got the contact. I mean, he was coming to try to prevent the shot, but the contact was made. Now the question mark is it out of his hands? And from that vantage point, you can see that it is out of his hands, and there was still a 1 on the shot clock. So this is going to be 3 free throws coming to the Hornets. I'm quite sure.
They've only taken 8. The Lakers have had only 5 free throws, as opposed to game 1 when they both had 33 attempts. So it is going to be 3 free throw attempts for Chris Paul. So despite the fact of the disparity that I mentioned, plus 15 in points off turnovers, if he hits all 3, it's just a 5-point game. And you worry about this guy, what he did in the second half when he had 19 of his 33 points in the second 24 minutes of play. And he might not sit down. He played 41 of 48 on Sunday, too. There's a break.
Chris Paul had his momentum on the shot going backwards. Watch him make the adjustment on this one. Stand up straight. Look at that. Stand up straight.
Down to 7. Opening minute of the second half. So Andrew Bynum offensively carried a huge load for the Lakers with 12 points in the first half. Pau Gasol had 6 on 2 of 6 shooting. Boards, no domination either way there. Almost dead even. The Lakers by 1, 18-17 on the glass. Into the shot clock.
Used up all this time and they're still around the perimeter.
Gonna be Kobe, good crease. And going for the dunk. Now Bynum on the follow. And Andrew Bynum with Carl Landry. They're letting him play.
As long as they let him play on both ends, neither team has any complaints. That's the name of the game, consistency.
That's 14 for Big Drew. Now Chris Paul waiting for the pick. And as Phil Jackson said on the pregame show, 80% of their offense is pick and roll. You know it going in. Now, deep in the clock, Bellinelli. Okafor. And Landry's got to go at the end of the shot clock. Won't get it. Andrew Bynum looking for a double-double up to 6 boards. He's already got double figures, of course, in scoring.
Easy.
Pau Gasol now pick it up offensively. Landry trying to nudge him out and forces him into a terrible shot.
That's just not the shot you want. I mean, when you've got the height advantage, you want to make sure you're going toward the rim.
Chris Paul on the switch. Landry missed it last time. Won't miss this time. 6-point game once again. Carl Landry's got 12 on just 4 for 11. And thrown out of the way by Pau Gasol.
Well, he tried to jump in Pau's path. Pau shoved him and got away with it.
Yeah, and now Landry's going to foul. A little retaliation action.
Well, I just think the word out is that you just be physical with Pau, and that's what Landry's doing. He's being very physical, and he picks up only his 2nd foul.
First team foul. So both teams with an early team foul. 2.5 minutes into the third. And kind of a ragged start offensively for both sides. They'll leave it for Gasol. Man, Bellinelli popped it away. He's trying to get it downstairs. He looked over to Ron Artest. Bellinelli had vacated the premises there. Now in the run out. Bellinelli, one-hander. He had to adjust. Pau's behind the play. They didn't see him. Kobe, good carry. Good spacing. Now, shot clock considerations. Andrew Bynum up against Carl Landry. Big advantage, but the double and the step back. Artest after him, he's got a loose ball foul. So that's the 2nd team foul. It is the first, though, under Ron Artest in this contest.
That was not obviously a good possession offensively for the Lakers. Ended up forcing Andrew to take a shot that he normally doesn't take because of the clock issue.
Both teams, no real uneven right now at the offensive end. Credit the defense. Man, it's going to be offensive foul. Bellinelli clearing out, trying to just get rid of Derek Fisher. So turnover is the 12th of the game.
Well, they were pretty clean in game 1, but game 2 they've got number 12 up with 8.5 to go here in the third.
And they were one of the best in the league during the regular season. Only 13 turnovers a game on average. Now Trevor Ariza up against his old teammate Kobe Bryant. And first foul is on Chris Paul. He saw more than one, but he blew the whistle and said, "This is the first one. I'll get the second one later."
I like it when they call the first foul. A lot of time it's the second and possibly the third, but they were right on the spot that time.
Chris Paul got the foul. It is also the 2nd team foul on the Hornets. Now, after bringing it in with 14, Kobe, and they'll wave it off on a moving pick. It'll be Andrew Bynum clearing some space for Kobe. A lot of turnovers early for both sides.
Trevor Ariza, a very difficult guy to set a screen on because he's not a guy that'll lay on the screen, and Andrew definitely moving on the play. Good call by the official.
First foul on Andrew Bynum. Not a team foul. Personal. Paul can't split it. Andrew, wide guy, and it's going to go back on a turnover. Bellinelli trying to run the baseline and off his foot.
They are really letting them play. And Bellinelli about to leave this ball game as Willie Green is up off the bench.
Fish And lost the handle, but it'll be Gasol before the shot is fouled. As we said, and it's getting a little chippy too. 51-45. It stays at only a 6-point game with 7:52 to play in the third. The Lakers led by 12 in the first half. Hornets in the first 12 minutes of play up by as many as 9. Now who's going to get the next run? Ariza jumped the route. Man, did Kobe touch it? Yeah, it went out of bounds. They're saying it was last touched either by the Kobe or on the pass.
That's on the passer's responsibility. Improve the lane or the angle by dribbling it over there.
Taken out of the hands of Chris Paul. Willie Green can't get it. Okafor tried to get it. Ron Artest has it. So Willie Green quickly in off the bench. Took over from Bellinelli. Now Fish. Where did Bynum? They fronted that play. Willie Green came over to help out. Kobe breaking it off. Artest, good look. And it's still going. Carl Landry quickly. Neither team could find it at all offensively. Ariza. And both cold. Ariza will save his own though. Guy who took it usually knows where it's going. Paul for 3. And out of bounds off Landry. So a lot of bricks out there.
Both teams need a timeout right now because it's gotten really inefficient here. Just wasted trips up and down the floor.
47% shooting for the Lakers. They were at 52% at the break. 40% for the Hornets now. 6:45 and counting. Hornets 1 of 6. Lakers 2 of 9 so far in the third. Deep in the clock again. Kobe. And it won't get them. Trevor Ariza challenged it. Wisely brings it back out. Lakers got back in defensive transition.
That's why I'd like to see the Lakers push it up the floor a little quicker so they got more time to run their shot clock.
Chris Paul short-armed it. Man, there was a reason.
Kobe pushed him in the back.
Yep, he's going to the free throw line. Kobe's got his third foul. It'll also be the third team foul on the Lakers. So Chris Paul back at the free throw line where he just 2 of 3. Boy, this has been a strange start to the second half.
The Lakers' big two are not efficient tonight. Kobe's 1 out of 6. Powell 2 out of 7.
Timeout on the floor. More free throws when we come back, though. Another one for Chris Paul.
And with 6:18 to go here in the third, the Lakers have got to pick it up.
Too close for comfort. 51-46. 6:18 to play in the third. Welcome back to Staples Center. And you saw Okafor. He hasn't given them a thing. The guy that has really turned things around for them, Monty Williams, their head coach. That's why they're at 46-36. We'll talk about what he's done defensively. Ariza came over. Bellinelli came. Jared Jack, a big acquisition in November from Toronto, an extra guard. But the biggest trade, Carl Landry for Marcus Thornton, especially because of David West going down with a torn ACL. They couldn't have predicted or forecasted, but Monty Williams, they won 37 last year. They go 46-36. The biggest difference, they gave up 95 points a game, and that's where it starts. They gave up 103 when they didn't make the playoffs, but as you can see, they're back in the postseason, making it to the playoffs for 3 of the last 4 years. Carl Landry, he's helped their mentality, though. Real tough guy, played at Purdue, former Boilermaker in his 4th season. And he's helped him. He was a tough kid coming out for the Houston Rockets when he went there in a deal on draft day as a 2nd-round pick. So he's got 12 points, 5 boards, and he hasn't backed down as Paul misses the free throw out of the timeout. That's the second miss for Chris Paul with 12 points and 6 assists. But the Lakers need to separate themselves because you do not want to let Chris Paul hang around.
See, Chris Paul jumped the passing lane that time and almost got the steal.
Landry out of position. Lamar. And it's going to be 3 in the key. Andrew Bynum's there as a spectator.
That's because he just knew, and as I did, that Lamar was going to take the shot. But Lamar, in his unselfish ways, was trying to get it to Ron Artest, who was being guarded by Chris Paul.
So the Lakers with another turnover. Man. So the Lakers now with 4 turnovers already in the third. Willie Green with a run out. Tough shot. Doesn't get the roll. Ariza going to the line. Timed it perfectly. 51-48. They're close to even on the glass with the Lakers, and that's a concern.
Trevor always in motion. As the shot was up, he comes from the top of the key gets the rebound and the foul, so he's at the line to complete the three-point play and bring the Hornets to within 2.
Andrew Bynum just picked up his 3rd foul. And he does convert. The three-point play for a reason.
And you've got 3 of your starters shooting combined 5 for 20. You're going to be in trouble, especially when 2 of the 3 are your big 2.
Now, Andrew Bynum wants it back on the repost. He will against Okafor. And Okafor's got his 4th foul. So he's going to go to the bench with 5:27 to play. Out there for only 12 minutes. You got to figure Aaron Gray is going to be in, and he will be in. And also the Hornets out of fouls for the rest of the quarter.
Andrew did a real good job of just subtle head fakes left and right and kept Okafor off balance.
Bynum looking good in the face-up game and also at the free throw line. Lakers debit card is here. You can show your Lakers pride all over town. Log on to Lakers.com. Get the new Lakers debit card. It's exclusively from One West Bank, official sponsor of the Lakers. The offer is open only to residents in Lakers territory. Andrew Bynum doesn't get the roll. Gray has got the board, and there's Landry again, making sure Artest couldn't get to it. That's the tenacity that I talked about. Kind of brings a toughness. 5:15 left in the 3rd. 3-point Laker lead at 52-49. It'll be Willie Green. And shielding it. It's kept alive, but Lamar Odom peels it away. Andrew Bynum forced that miss, by the way, of course. Now Fish. And he'll go to the line. Willie Green with the foul. On the attack, Derek Fisher going to the strike for the first time tonight.
Good job by Lamar. First of the defensive rebound, but then when you get a ball handler like Lamar who can rebound and push, you don't have to get the outlet pass, and that really gives the offensive team an advantage. They're already in transition without looking for the outlet.
The Lakers 4 of 7 at the stripe, make it 5 of 8 now. New Orleans 11 of 14. But I bring up the glass. 25 boards for the Lakers, 23 for the Hornets, and that's because the Lakers, there should be a decisive edge. They were 3rd best in the NBA this year on the glass. Good roll for Fish. 24th in the league for the Hornets. And they're missing David West, don't forget. Okafor's not a factor. Gray back into the game. 5-point lead for the Lakers. Man.
Offensive foul, Landry.
Cleared out. Just shoved Lamar Odom out of the way. 3rd on Landry. He's a frustrated guy right now. So Monty Williams needs to get him under control. That is the 14th turnover for New Orleans. Both teams real sloppy though here in the 3rd. Fish behind the Kobe wall. Artest going to the line, looking for 3.
There's Ron taking advantage of his size on the inside as he was guarded by Willie Green. Artest just works himself into offensive rebound position, gets the offensive rebound and the foul. He'll go to the line, see if he can complete a 3-point play. Ron's 5 out of 9 from the field as Powell comes in and Andrew gets the rest.
And give Ron credit. This is a guy that averaged 8 a game during the regular season. You see his numbers. Game 1, he had a double-double with 16 and 11. He's got 11 points, making 12 now. And there's 8 a game on 34% during the regular season. But don't forget the way he stepped up last year during the playoffs, and especially at the defensive end of the floor. Chris Paul, they funnel him. We talked about walling him. Poked out by a Fish. 16 in the shot clock, 4:29 left in the 3rd. And the Lakers quickly, after it was down to 3, they've got the last 5 points of the game. They're up by 8.
Chris Paul just makes everything look so easy out there. I mean, he's got great change of pace, great speed, but he plays in 3 different gears.
Now is somebody else going to step up besides Chris Paul? Shot clock considerations. Ariza saw it. Fall away. It's real difficult. Knocked around by Gray. Picked up by Artest. 4+ to play in the 3rd. Is it going to be a run for the Lakers? They've had the last 5. Artest was asking. He saw with Kobe. And again, he never got into the paint. It'll be a shove, and Landry's got his 4th very quickly. I talked about the frustration factor.
Well, that's what Lamar can do to players, though. Because of his ability to put it on the floor, you end up reaching and grabbing on him. And Landry picks up yet another one. He's going to be headed to the sideline after the first free throw with 3:53 to go here in the third.
So Jason Smith out of Colorado State. Had a nice solid rookie year with Philadelphia. Lamar missed the first of two. And the ACL now coming in for Carl Landry. Laker fans, you can save big on your next LakersStore.com purchase. It's all courtesy of Budweiser. Pick up an 18-pack or larger Bud or Bud Light. Enter the UPC barcode on LakersStore.com, and you can save up to $20 off your next purchase of Lakers gear. Go to LakersStore.com today. All the details are there. Budweiser, official beer of the Lakers. So grab some Buds. Lakers need to grab some boards. They do. Gasol can't get the layup. Never touched the rim, though. No new shot clock, but plenty of time. Gasol against Gray. Chris Paul all over Fish. Fish got a break. Squirts free, and Odom on the run. Gets a roll. Lakers by 10. When is Monty Williams calling a timeout? 8 straight for the Lakers.
The Lakers got a break on that one. That ball was kicked free and ended up Lamar with a deuce.
Chris Paul, they're letting him play. Thought he had contact. Smith off the bench. Tough break. Lamar will take it, though. It went down and popped back out. Now on the run. LO. Tough shot. Makes it easy. 61-49.
There it is again. Lamar with the rebound, and the instant push keeps the defense out of play. I mean, they don't have a chance to set up because you can get in transition instantly. And Lamar helping the Lakers go on a 10-0 run. And Monty Williams says, let's stop a little bit of this momentum because with 3:03 to play, the Lakers back up by 12. .303 to go here in the third. The Lakers go back up by their largest margin, 12-61-49. And one person, one play, brought to you by One West Bank, and Lamar is bringing it to you. One person, and there's the one play as he kisses it in off the window and put the Lakers up by 12. As you see that, we go down to the court side to Patrick. Hi, Patrick, what you got for us?
Hey, Stu, thanks a lot. You know, Kobe Bryant, only 3 points in this game. It's kind of surprising because all he does is score in the postseason. His next, he's going to pass Shaquille O'Neal. It's only 200 points away or less from moving to third all-time, trailing Michael Jordan and Kareem. And so, by the way, guys, his next 30-point game will be his 80th in the playoffs, and that'll still be 30 behind MJ. But again, as you know, the only record that means anything to Kobe Bryant is the 11 titles that Bill Russell has.
So Kobe has scored in double figures in 150 straight playoff games. That is second best in NBA history. Michael Jordan did it in 179 straight contests. Ariza, tough shot, and it'll go. 61-51. You get that way.
That was a difficult shot to complete with the left hand.
So Trevor was 2 for 13 in game 1. Much cleaner 6 for 10 tonight after that make with 14 points, 5 boards, and 3 assists. Pau Gasol, they walk away from him.
I would too. He's not too confident right now.
He is 2 for 9 after the miss. That's what he finished with, 2 for 9. But Jason Smith went away over to Lamar Odom. Now going to go into the cup. 2:15 out of the Lakers closing. That's their largest lead before the break of 12. Willie Green off the pick and a little floater. He and Jarrett Jack killed the Lakers with runners like that in game 1. It's down to 8.
Every time the Lakers build a double-digit lead, they just can't seem to hold on to it. The Hornets do a good job of battling back.
Trevor Ariza all over Kobe. Now off the Gasol pick. Contact. Kobe thought he was going to the line. Instead, he used the bank. 63-53. Steve Blake out of the timeout. Up against Chris Paul. Late pick. What an entry. Gray, too strong though. Keeps it alive. And it'll be a foul. Lakers out of fouls. Free throws for Gray.
That's just more activity by Gray than that time than Powell. Powell challenges the shot, but doesn't go after the miss. As we get a second look at Kobe's basket. Only his second in 7 attempts, and not an easy one at that. So
Kobe's been to the free throw line once tonight.
Aaron Gray's going to the line now for his first trip there. He's got 7 rebounds, and the 7 rebounds is the most by any player.
Won't get the roll. He didn't miss in game 1. He was 5 of 5 from the field. He is just 1 of 4 so far tonight. So Aaron Gray, former second-round pick of the Chicago Bulls. He was taken 49th overall as Kobe sits down with 5 points on 2 of 7.
As soon as Kobe goes out, Monty Williams takes out Trevor Ariza, saving all of Trevor's fouls, and he's got 6 of them yet to use for Kobe.
And give Trevor credit. Trevor shut out Kobe in the last 6.5 minutes of game 1. Kobe did not score down the stretch, and Ariza was on him for those final 6.5 minutes. 10-point game as Aaron Gray doesn't get either. Now the final minute 20 of the third. Shannon Brown out there with Blake, Odom, Gasol, and Artest. 5 of the clock. Air ball. Not a good sequence for the Lakers offensively, but still up by 10.
Artest hoping for the whistle that time, and it didn't come.
Good catch by Green. Thought that was going out of bounds. It's deflected. Brown's got it. On the run. They're back in transition. Wisely slows it down. Not an easy catch for Pau Gasol on the post. Smith did a good job forcing him to a tough shot again. 2 for 1 for Chris Paul. He sees it in front of him. On the trail, Willie Green lost the handle. It's going the other way. They were too fast for their own good.
Well, Willie Green had a lane there, but Lamar did a good job of getting into the middle of the paint and stopping, and that made Willie Green take his eye off of it, and he lost control.
Points of the paint, 42-24 Lakers. Don't forget it was 52-34 in game 1. And maybe the biggest difference in game 2, 16 turnovers compared to 10. As the Lakers are up plus 15 in points off mistakes, 22-7. It'll be Artest for 3. Paul gets the final shot. Tried to go down. Lakers now, after the miss, just 2 of 7 beyond the arc. Last shot belonging to Chris Paul. But will they get one away? They've been turning it over regularly. It'll be Paul for 3. Man, get into the end of the half. Get into the end of the third again.
That's Chris Paul being Chris Paul, but that's where you got to force him to help. You know, he's milking the clock. When you see it's down to 3, you say, hey, let's see if he can dribble it a couple times and beat me. But if you stand back, he pulls up and does that. Puts in the triple, and we head to the 4th. After the Lakers led by 12, well, they'll head to the 4th with only a 7-point advantage. Score 63-56.
We get ready for the final 12 minutes of regulation. After New Orleans won 109-100 and outscored the Lakers, giving up 36 points the Lakers did in the final 12 on Sunday. What's it going to be this evening? You can see the disparity. The Lakers have taken care of business down low. But now with Kobe and Gasol on the bench to start the 4th, what's it going to be?
This is an important stretch because the Hornets have 4 of their starters on the floor, and the Lakers only have 1.
So the Lakers by 7. It was an ugly third. Lakers outscored them 16-15. Lamar strong. Jack tipped it, goes right to Blake. And can't make him pay. It'll be picked up by Jared Jack finally this time. So the Laker bench has only 2 guys that have scored. Odom and Barnes. Barnes got 12. Barnes was 6. On a Barnes game very early in this game. Chris Paul again blocked away by Andrew Bynum. Man, it's last touch by the guy frustrated by the block, Chris Paul.
I just like Andrew's length and the way he uses it in the paint.
It's his second block of the game.
Andrew close to an offensive foul there against Emeka Okafor.
Deflected and off that Barnes. Give a reason the way he jumps routes like a defensive back in the NFL.
And when you're playing against a guy like that, you know his history. You have to ball fake him. Let him jump the route, then backdoor him.
Chris Paul with Jack. Okafor, Ariza, and Landry. And Andrew Bynum's got a foul on an intelligent play. Once Jared Jack got him up into the air. 4th on Drew. 1st in the 4th on the Lakers.
Jared Jack with the nice head fake. Andrew came out, had to make the play, or tried to make the play. And when he left his feet, he was in trouble.
And now you got to worry about Drew getting his 5th too early. here in the fourth. Well, that doesn't hurt. New Orleans just 11 of 17 at the free throw line, 65%. Lakers 58%. They're only 7 for 12. Jared Jack gets the second. So he splits the pair, 63-57. 6-point Laker lead. Looking for their first points here in the fourth.
It's going to be up to Lamar and Andrew to set the table for others.
Trying to get Shannon Brown involved. Deep into the clock. Drew wants it against Carl Landry this time. And with good reason. Huge disparity as Andrew Bynum now with 17 points.
Nice job by Andrew of making himself available, a nice big target for Lamar to hit.
And you can see in the space, get out of here to Shannon Brown, clear the space so I can get to post. 12 of the clock. Barnes out of position. And Ariza almost gave it up. Chris Paul recognizes clock's deep. He's got to go up and he will. And came through. 65-59. Chris Paul, will he carry him again? 17 points, 6 assists for Chris Paul.
He's just so calm in all circumstances.
Plenty of time with the shot clock. This time Lamar with Carl Landry and a little step back. Yes! 67-59. And up to 14.
Andrew with those 4 fouls is not being nearly as aggressive defensively, and you have to take advantage of that fact.
14 points, 3 boards for Lamar Odom. It'll be a reason. Quick release because of Andrew Bynum coming over. He rushed it, no question. Now Barnes on the run. And they thought he was going to reverse it.
Nice job
Swift
by Matt Barnes.
Swift play.
Using that basket, going up on the same side and getting the roll as the Lakers go back up by double digits.
Now you talked about the reserves and how important the first 3-4 minutes of the fourth would be. And the reserves coming through now for the Lakers. In fact, Lamar's got 14, Barnes with 8. Carl Landry trying to go by Andrew Bynum. He does. On the reverse, didn't get the roll. And Barnes has the rebound and the foul. You're waiting for the whistle.
What a bad foul.
His 5th.
I mean, that's not the time you want to pick up as your 5th foul. Felt that he got fouled on the drive, and in his haste to get it back, just almost takes the foul against Matt Barnes. As Andrew Bynum doing the job, 17 points, 9 boards, but Chris Paul is the man with 17 and 6 assists. The Lakers by 10 is Tom Hanks giving a nice welcome to Zach Efron. Say hello and greeting each other. Tom says, I got to go real quick. I'll be right back, though. I got to see the final 8 minutes and 51 of this very good ball game as far as score is concerned. Lamar Odom, well, Lamar is vital for what the Lakers want to do. Not only in winning this game, but winning this series and any other series, because this is a guy that means so much. Recipient of the 6th Man of the Year award presented by Kia. So tonight, better showing for Lamar as he's 7 out of 10, 14 points, but not the usual rebounds by Lamar. Lamar is usually a much better rebounder statistically than he is tonight with only 3.
And fortunately, he is hitting at a high percentage because you look at Gasol, Kobe, and Derek Fisher, a combined 6 for 25 from the field. Yet the Lakers, because of some bench play, are up by 10 and have the basketball. Now the execution out of the timeout. Andrew Bynum gets it. Pouring to the post early. Shannon Brown free for 3. Yes!
Great close by Ariza, and Shannon did a real good job of focusing on the target because Trevor Ariza is very clever at going out and challenging and getting a piece of those kind of shots.
The Lakers now with their largest lead of the game. It's at 13, 8+ to play. Jared Jack, the mid-range game. Andrew Bynum forced it, and it looked like it was going to be an air ball. It grazed the front of the rim. Drew impacted it that much. Now Shannon Brown gets the pick from Bynum. And Okafor will clear it away.
See, he can get that shot anytime he wants it by throwing it inside and letting it come back out, not off the dribble coming down the floor.
Chris Paul with Ariza. And hard foul. They called, I believe, a flagrant right away on Matt Barnes.
There was no hesitation at all. As soon as the whistle sounded, they said flagrant one.
Yeah, Trevor Ariza did not try to retaliate either. He was smart, just like looking and then walking away from it all. So Ariza gets 2, and then the ball out of bounds. But the best friend of the Lakers has been the entire Hornets team at the free throw line. They're 12 of 19, 63%. Much better day for Trevor Ariza, not for his team, after he went 2 for 13 in the opener. And again, the frustration continues in the stripe.
It looked like too much adrenaline in the arms of Trevor on that play. Still probably a little bit of anger on the play. Did a great job of not trying to retaliate at all, but you could see the adrenaline pumping. Shot both of those long.
7:45 and counting left in regulation. Paul with Blake on his back. That's the way you get it out of his hands. Now Bellinelli. And Andrew Bynum makes sure it's 1 and done. With a match downstairs. They were locked up. He and Emeka Okafor.
Go inside first. You'll get all the perimeter shots you want. If you can dribble it.
And it's going to be a jump ball. So Shannon Brown just lost his footing.
Lost his footing, lost control of the basketball, had to sit on it, and that forced the jump ball. So just got to make sure you're always under control here. As he's little hesitation, and then the foot went out from under him. So jump ball here. Emeka Okafor and Shannon Brown as Matt Barnes goes out. Kobe Bryant comes back.
And in that flagrant one, the Lakers did not give up a single point. So the 2 free throws, the missed opportunity when they brought it inbounds. 13-point lead continues for the Lakers, their largest. Points off turnovers right now. The difference in this game, 22-8, Lakers plus 14. And will it be controlled? Yes. But maybe he drill it right out of bounds. It was that easy for Okafor. Chris Paul up against Andrew Bynum. Bellinelli on the run out. Leaving it off. Okafor. And that's the 5th on Andrew Bynum. The one thing, the biggest difference, they're making sure that they get the ball out of Chris Paul's hands.
Yeah, they're forcing him to get rid of it. The Hornets doing a pretty good job of spacing the floor. That time with the spacing, able to get dribble penetration and then the dish to Okafor. And Andrew picked up his 5th, so he'll be going out as Powell is already at the scorer's table.
Yeah, but the other sources are not coming through. Bellinelli now is just 2 for 9. He's got only 4 points. Okafor hasn't scored in this game in 17 minutes and still hasn't. They've got 9 misses in the stripe, 12 of 21, 57%. So Andrew Bynum sits down with 17 points, 10 rebounds, blocks, chain shots.
10 rebounds leads all players. So let's see how they respond with Andrew on the bench. How long will Phil Jackson be able to keep him over there with 5 fouls?
And it'll be Gray battling out of bounds. It'll belong to the Lakers.
Well, I tell you again, though, Aaron Gray moving his feet just about secured that rebound.
Well, he was drafted in the 2nd round by the Bulls. Maybe they saw a little Tom Boerwinkle in him in Chicago. So now, Blake out of the backcourt with Brown. Lamar Odom. He's got Okafor. Let's see if he tries. No, he'll go out, drop it into the post. Pau Gasol, they got to get him started. And he's going to the line.
That was a headlock.
Yep. Gray was out of position. He was slipping at the same time. And then wrapped that arm.
Aaron Gray said, I got beat with that first step, and then let me just grab you, make sure you can't get the basket, send you to the line. Good first step, though, by Powell. And I talked about the top scorers for the Lakers. They are really struggling.
Well, 6 for 25 from the field for Kobe, Gasol, and Fish. Kobe's 2 for 7. Derek Fisher is 2 for 8. You see Pau Gasol, he's just 2 for 10. He is perfect, though, at the free throw line. He was 3 of 3, one of the few guys that can say that tonight. And make it 4 of 4. So the Lakers expand their largest lead of the game on 9 unanswered. And they're up by 15, 74-59. The defense is the story tonight for the Lakers. 39% shooting for the Hornets.
Nice find.
Yeah, Chris
What
Paul.
a nice find.
They got it out of his hands, but Okafor was waiting in the paint. 74-61.
But when you're on the weak side, you have to make Chris Paul make the cross-court pass, not the pass into the middle. So you start to cheat and go that way and make him find somebody in the deep corner.
Lamar on the run. Yeah, Gray on skates. Backpedaling, and he didn't know what to do.
That's not a fair matchup at all. Aaron Gray telling his teammate, hey, that's not a guy I can guard, so don't get me switched off on it.
Final 6 minutes of regulation. Jerry Jack with a good pass. And don't need a foul there. Okafor looking for the three-point play.
Nice pass by Jared Jack. What a play. Boy, playing with Chris Paul obviously pays big-time dividends as he makes the play that Chris normally makes. With 5:57 to go in the fourth, and the Lakers, well, trying to hang on. .557 still to play here in the fourth. The Lakers up by 13, but a free throw coming to the Hornets. And what a difference from game 1 to game 2 as far as points in the paint. The Lakers tonight getting the job done in a big way in that department as they utilize not only some other players, but Andrew Bynum having a good night. We saw Artest get a couple of offensive rebounds. Kobe, one of his 2 baskets coming in the paint. Makes a difference. You talk about role reversal. Game 1, it was the Hornets by 18. Tonight, it's the Lakers by 20 points in the paint. Hopefully that translates into the same thing in game 1 as far as which team is victorious.
Well, it's also equated the Lakers bench responding too. You see what Lamar Odom has done. 16 points off the bench on a very efficient night. Right now, the Lakers bench outscoring the Hornets 27-12, and it was 39-21. Don't forget, New Orleans bench a plus 18 in game 1. Okafor out of the timeout. Converts on the three-point play. So after the Lakers have taken a 15-point lead, it's down to 12. Inside of 6 left. So enough time for one more run out of New Orleans. Too much time, in fact. Inside of 10 of the shot clock. Lamar and Gasol, smart play. Fresh shot clock. Volleyballed it back out.
Moved his feet that time.
It'll be Kobe. And he'll go to the line to shoot 2. Good foul. It looked like the bottom of the glass may have blocked the shot.
Kobe and Trevor, a couple of words there, but I'm sure all in good sportsmanship.
Kobe went to the free throw line. He was the first Laker of the stripe tonight, and he missed his first. He made his second. See what's at stake. 150 consecutive playoff games. That's second best in NBA history. Well, auditions for the world-famous Laker girls coming up this summer. Join the team for the next campaign, the 11-12 season, by auditioning July 16th at the Lakers practice facility in El Segundo. For all the details, go to Lakers.com. You'll find out about the requirements to try out. Kobe gets the first, and Okafor will take the second. So the Lakers just 10 of 16 at the stripe, 62%.
As soon as they left Kobe's hands, you could hear him holler because he knew it was off.
Taken out of the hands of Chris Paul. That's been the most effective thing the Lakers have done tonight. Jared Jack off the foot of Kobe. Now 6 on the shot clock.
On to 3.
It'll be Chris Paul shooting 3. And Kobe's got a tee.
That's 4 free throws coming.
That could change the complexion dramatically.
Kobe was trying to say that he kicked his leg out to get the foul, and the official translated it in a different manner, and he picks up the tee.
Needs to stay away from Tony Brothers, who just called it. There's the technical free throw. And now 3 coming up for Chris Paul. Did he kick the leg out on the release? Tough to tell. Got away. He was falling back a little bit on that shot to begin with.
But you got to always remember, when you're going to rush at a player like that shooting, you know what hand he shoots with. You slide to that side so that any kind of momentum carrying you forward goes past him without contact. If you run at his chest, you're going to get contact.
Chris Paul, second time he's been to the line, shooting 3 free throws. Now, lower half of his body.
See, Kobe was trying to get on that side. But he got a little contact, the official said, and there's the foul.
2 and 3 again for Chris Paul. So the Lakers up now by 10. 77-67. 5-minute ball game. Ariza trying to take away the passing angle. It'll be Artest. And with a good box up by Okafor. It's picked up by Landry.
That was good denial that time by Trevor Ariza.
Paul weaving his way in. Lamar's got him now on a switch.
Got to force him to help.
Ariza going to the cup. Floater won't stay. Man, second chance opportunity thanks to Okafor. Not that time for Chris Paul. He thought it was fouled again. It'll be Fisher on the run. And on the finger roll. Kobe on the follow. He'll go to the line to shoot 2. So trailing the play. And Jared Jack upset that nobody was helping him out. Not enough of the big guys were running down the floor.
What he's yelling to his teammates is run back. Because if they miss, we're in a position to get a defensive rebound. And he's absolutely right. You don't just trot back. You got to run back. You make sure you think every shot is going to be a miss. And because they didn't run back, they're giving up 2 free throws to Kobe.
Kobe's got 7 points. He is now 3 of 5 at the stripe. He's only taken 7 shots tonight, but he is just 2 of 7. So Gasol 2 of 10, Kobe 2 of 7. Fish now after that missed 2 of 9. Kobe hit half his shots in game 1 with 34 points. 4:22 left in regulation. Spurs got even, the top seed of the West. The Lakers tried to do the same. Mentioned it, first time since they went to 16 teams, the expanded playoffs, the 83-84 season, with the top 2 seeds in either conference. Lost their playoff openers, but that was the case. 10 on the shot clock for Chris Paul. Dangerous pass. And Ariza going to the line. Gasol brushed him a little bit, enough to get the contact. They're not leaving, are they? 10-point game.
Good job of swinging the basketball, and Trevor finds the seam. And no question he gets the contact from Powell. Powell's angle. Some of the keys to blocking shots is getting the proper angle, and Powell did not have it.
It's a 9-point game now. And can you imagine? 17 of 28 at the free throw line for New Orleans, 61%. Had they hit a few more, too close for comfort. It is still 9 though, inside out. Artest had a seal. Now Gasol up against Okafor. Great. 3:44 to play, 7 of the shot clock, and the Lakers have maintained possession.
When Powell does that swing through from the mid post, he's got to make sure he bends his knees more, gets the ball down lower. That way the defender doesn't get a hand on it as easy.
Kobe baseline fall away coming up. No, going to the cup. Good decision on the jam. The reverse dunk for Kobe, and the Lakers by 11.
Nice finish. That's the way you finish 24.
They were looking for the fall away. Kobe's got double figures for 151st consecutive time. Ariza. And the roll not his way. So the Lakers in control. Now they can afford to take their time and use some clock. 3+ left. End of the shot clock. 3:05 and counting left in the game.
Clock issues.
It'll be Kobe. And locked up Landry with Odom. Ooh, Chris Paul had his leg just taken out from under him. That looked like an injury waiting to happen. Jared Jack going hard to the hole. Won't get it, but Okafor will follow as he drew the attention of the big guys. Back to 9. Lakers just need to take care of the basketball. Clock running.
Lakers need to reinsert Andrew Bynum too to deter some of these drives to the basket. Even though he has 5 fouls, he's only 2.5 to play. Can't take that 6th one to the locker room all the time.
Getting the ball out of Kobe's hands and off Kobe. Yep, going the other way. Ariza did it. So the turnover goes back to New Orleans.
And with 2:19 to play, it's still a ball game. Lakers turn the ball over. It'll be Hornets basketball when we come back. Last time Kobe had it, though, he did a pretty good job of attacking the paint. And when he attacked the paint, he also attacked the rim. Threw it down for only his third make in 9 attempts. .219 left, the Lakers by 9 as Will Ferrell looks on, and he's probably as concerned as everybody else about the outcome of this. And of course, Drew Barrymore, she doesn't look too concerned at all. She's rather happy. And why? Well, Kobe, the last possession, he complained on it, but it was a good call, right off his leg. Slapped down, right off the knee, out of bounds. The official right on the spot, made the call.
2:19 to play. Biggest possession of the game for the Hornets. Down by 9. The Lakers going to stop here. And the Hornets use some clock. Then they can really milk it at the other end. Jared Jack up against Kobe. And he didn't have a shot. Okafor the spin. And again, good stop. Gasol and Bynum back into the game. Gasol had the assignment. Now they need to use some clock. And with a bucket, they can effectively end it. Inside of 10 on the shot clock for Derek Fisher. Kobe, will he get it up in time? Yep. Out of bounds. Minute 32 to play. Is it safe? 9-point game.
Never safe until there's zeros on the clock.
Only 39% shooting. Neither of these teams, and especially the free throw line in the second half, could hit the broad side of the ball. 44% for the Lakers. It'll be Chris Paul. That's what I'm talking about. They've had opportunities. Fisher with the foul. And the Lakers out of fouls. Minute 17 to play on a 50-50 ball. Tough call.
Another play where Powell tries to tip it out. He does tip it out, but right to the Hornets. I mean, you've got to be more forceful. Go get the basketball. Go up with both hands and secure it. Free throws coming now to Trevor Ariza.
When you consider the Gasol's 2 for 10, Kobe's 3 for 10, and Derek Fisher's 2 for 9, and the Lakers yet are still up in this game by 8 with a minute 17 to play. Very fortunate situation.
They just basically need another scratch and then don't give up a three-point basket. They should be okay because only a minute and 17 to play. But they need a score on this trip down.
It's down to 7. Lakers led early in the fourth by as many as 15. Clock management critical now for the Lakers as well. Kobe coming in early with Ron Artest. Gasol clears it out. Biggest board of the game. Bring it back out. And they do. So Pau Gasol, he's only got 5 rebounds tonight, but that may be one of the biggest of the entire game. So now they're on the Peters Staples Center. Fish deep into the clock. And Artest. Nice hit in the paint. Yes! 10-point Laker lead. And the series should be all even with only 40.9 to play.
Nice offensive rebound that time by Powell, which gave them not only the possession, but also the fact that they could get a score. I said they needed another scratch. They got a big one. They lead by 10 with 40.9 to play. Well, the Lakers by 10, 84-74, thanks to the last basket by number 15, Ron Artest. He had a good game in game 1. He's having a good game in game 2. He's made 6 out of 14 shots from the field. He's got 6 rebounds, 2 assists. But the last one he hit, that one right there, that's the one that may have sealed the deal. Mr. Artest making up for some of the inefficiency of some of his teammates.
So double figures for Artest once again. The Lakers just 4 of 11 from beyond the arc, but Artest in the 4th. Man, it should be plenty. Especially when you hold on to the basketball like Jared Jack is doing. Up against Andrew Bynum. And Bynum forces him into a difficult circus shot. So it's all over. It's all even. Derek Fisher will go to the free throw line after the foul by Chris Paul. So San Antonio got Ginobili back tonight. They won, and it was a battle. It was a struggle for them. They had only a 2-point lead with 14 seconds left. They did have the basketball, but they closed it out well. And they got even. Now the Lakers do the same as they head to an arena where they have taken 9 of 12 games from the Hornets. So they've had a ton of success at the New Orleans Arena.
They better just forget about that past success and worry about what they're going to do in game number 3, because the Hornets, who were swept by the Lakers during the regular season, are showing that, hey, we're in this for a reason, not just the season.
And they keep in games like this because of their defense again. 5th best in the NBA, giving up only 95 a contest. Chris Paul, as it winds down at Staples. Trevor Ariza. So he had a bounce-back game, but he'd take a W over a bounce-back game for him as Kobe is fouled. Goes to the free throw line. Ariza, 22 points on 8 of 15.
Yeah, he's the game's leading scorer.
And that's a career playoff high for Trevor.
22 points. His teammate Chris Paul second in the game with 19, but the Lakers are going to prevail because they've got 4 guys in double figures: Kobe, Lamar, Andrew, and Mr. Artest.
And the story for the Lakers is their defense of Chris Paul, taking it out of his hands. He was not a factor at all as they walled him, they doubled him, they made other people make decisions. And it worked for the Lakers to the extent that they held them to 39% shooting. And right now, just 77 points.
And after having done all that, Chris Paul still ends up with 19 and 9 assists. So the guy is just a remarkable talent.
Andrew Bynum with a foul. Why? He just fouled out of the game. But out of the corner of his eye, he saw Chris Paul with the ball, and I guess it was too tempting for Drew. So Chris Paul will go to the strike. And New Orleans, they're probably saying, well, what if? Because they didn't hit a thing from the field or the strike. 19 of 30 is Andrew Bynum with a double-double sits down. And talking about the blocks, but it's the altered shots, the chain shots, again, they make the difference.
Not only that, the fact that he rebounds as well. So he's got 17 and 11 before checking out with his 6th foul. Nice big smile on his face. And hopefully the team can respond now and go down to New Orleans and take care of their business.
Chris Paul, just 8 of 12 at the free throw line. Get it across the line, and it is all over. Fish not happy with Chris Paul. Gives him a little tailgate action, and it's all even at Staples Center, best of 7. First round series as the Lakers bounce back and take care of it at home.
Lakers gave up home court advantage, so the Hornets did what they wanted to do, come and get one. Now it's up to the Lakers to go down to New Orleans and repay the favor.
So the top 2 seeds even. But as you mentioned, Memphis also did what they had to do. Won a game in San Antonio like the New Orleans Hornets did here at Staples Center. Portland couldn't do that, neither could Denver at Oklahoma City and Dallas. So the Lakers win it 87-78 as we head downstairs to Patrick O'Neal. Patrick.
Joel, thanks very much. Lamar, despite a very low-scoring game, very intense battle out there for you guys to tie this series up.
Yeah, sometimes it's going to be like that. You have to know how to win ugly. And at this point of the season, of course, any way we can take them, we're taking them.
Great job getting the ball out of Chris Paul's hand. Was that key for you?
Yeah, we want to just make it hard for him, change up how we play him, attack him as much as possible. He's one of the best at it, so you got to give him different looks.
Much bigger turnaround in the points in the paint. You had 16. Drew was huge. I know, you didn't get much out of Powell, and even Kobe was low scoring, but you guys were too physical for them down low.
Well, this team, the strength of our team is, how many guys we got on the bench ready to come in and ready to come in and contribute, ready to play. Different guys that can score, different guys that can make plays. One thing we all have to do is give effort and play defense, and we all did our job tonight.
Lamar, how special was it for you to receive the 6th Man of the Year award in front of this home crowd here tonight before this game?
Yeah, it's a great feeling, great accomplishment, not just for myself, but my friends, my family, the fans of LA show me so much support. It's great. It's awesome.
Congratulations. We're happy for you. Good luck at Game 3.
Thanks a lot, bro.
All right, there's Lamar Odom. Game 3, Friday night in New Orleans. This series with the Hornets tied up 1 game apiece. We're going to step aside for a break, but so much is coming up for you right here on Lakers Live, which is around the corner with Billy Mack, Norm, Kurt Rambis. We're going to hear from Phil Jackson. I'm going to get some interviews as well. So don't go anywhere. Lakers Live in a minute.